Okay, welcome back. So far, we've created our rail, our dowel, and our base. These components have been quite simple. We've literally drawn a shape, extruded it, saved it, moved on. Next component we're going to make is a little bit more complicated, a little bit more challenging, which in itself is a good thing. So the first thing we need to do, and we're getting used to this now, is creating a new part. So Control New, standard millimeters .ipt, create part 5, but this will obviously be called the side when we get there. So we're going to start a new sketch, 2D sketch, and we're going to work on the XZ plane again. So the rail, the side we're doing, let's just show you what that looks like. And in your written tutorial, it's just this part here. So moving swiftly on, what we then need to do, we're in our sketch and we're going to start with a rectangle, and I'm going to start and finish at any point. But this does need to be 110 millimeters by 20. So we're on the smaller side now, so let's go with 20, and I'm going to tab to the 110, 110, return, and I'm going to go to zoom all. So that was going to zoom the extent of my drawing, and I'm just going to go back to zoom mode and I'll literally just zoom out a little bit more, and there we have what we need. Now the next thing we need to do is create the part that will be our housing. So I'm going to go to the line tool, and I'm going to draw two lines. Now if you look at that there, the line, that yellow dot is snapping itself to that line. I'm going to draw another line, and it's, if you look in the things in the dialog boxes that are displayed, it's showing the length of the line, and it's also showing the angle of the line, so that's 180 degrees. So I'm going to just snap that to the next line there, 180 degrees, and it's 20 mil long, and I'm going to do another. Make sure they're spaced apart quite well, and I'm happy with those two lines. They've snapped to the lines and they're perfectly vertical. Now what we need to do is position these accurately. Now we know they're snapped to the lines, but we need to position them where we need them to be. So I'm going to use the dimension tool here. So I'm going to click the dimension tool, and I'm going to click on the end point of those two lines there. It comes up with a white square, and I'm going to find the end point of there with another white square, and we drag a dimension away from it, and I type in 45 and return. And I then need to work out the distance between these two. This needs to be 20, so we do the same again. Dimension, endpoint there to endpoint there, so it's gone white, and as soon as I select it by left clicking, it will go blue. I drag a dimension away from it, and that needs to be 20. So I'm going to type in 2 and 0, and that will be 20. And then I'm going to draw a line. Now this is where we'll save us a bit of time and effort. We won't need to do dimensioning here. Now when I click on the line, it's yellow, but as soon as I go up to the middle, that when it goes to a green dot, that shows it's found the midpoint. So I'm going to go from the midpoint there to the midpoint there, and right click and OK. So all we need to do is a few more moves, and we can then create an extrusion. So I'm going to go to the trim tool, which is at the top, trim, so I can remove bits that I don't need. So I'm going to trim there. Now what you notice there is the dimensions are overriding or constraining the drawing, so I just need to tidy things up a little bit here. So what I do need to do now, I'm going to just remove some of these dimensions. So I'm going to remove that one there by just highlighting it. It will go white, and deleting it. So I'm going to trim, and I'm going to remove that bit there and that bit there. And even so, that dimension is not too happy. So just to tidy things up, I'm just going to just go back a step. I'm just going to get to the dimension, and I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to trim and trim that piece away, and I'm going to nibble away at the middle. So I now have the perfect shape for me to extrude from now. So I can click Finish Sketch, and I'm just going to zoom out. And I now need to extrude this. Now my extrusion needs to be 70 millimeters high. So assuming I've done this accurately and all my endpoints meet up, I can then click extrude. It's found the solid in there, or the sketch that can be turned into a solid for me. And all I need to do is press 70 and return. And that is the start of my rail. So I'm going to just bring that into the center of the drawing. And okay, so if you look at the part on the tutorial here, we've got a curved front edge. We could have drawn that on our actual sketch, but in Autodesk Inventor there's many ways of doing the same thing, so I thought we could have a look at a different tool now. So we're going to use a fillet tool. We may have used this before, but let's go to fillet, and here we need to set our fillet radius to 40. Now the fillet tool sort of rounds things over for us, so I'm going to type in 40, and if I select an edge, I'm going to hover over that edge. It's it's white as I hover over it, but as soon as I click on it, I'll left click, it's going to select that edge for me, and it's ghosting it in the moment. It's showing, look, and if you commit to this, if you click my green tick, this is what you're going to get. So it's showing me it's going to remove that material, so I'm going to hit my green tick, and it's going to fillet radius that corner for me. So I'm really happy with that. That's good. So next thing we need to do is drill the hole in there, or put the hole in there. We've got a hole tool we could use, or I'm going to simply just go to another sketch, and I'm going to draw on this face. So this is again where we can start drawing on faces and making changes to faces. So I'm going to click Start Sketch, and here I now need to create a new sketch on this face here. So I'm just going to click on that face, and it will bring it into the drawing for me. And all I'm going to do is draw a circle. I'm not worried about where the circle is at the moment. We're going to use the dimension tool to accurately position it, and the radius of my circle, the diameter of my circle needs to be 8 millimeters. So I'm going to type 8 and go. I'm going to zoom in a little bit just to give me a little bit more clarity, and I now need to position that accurately, so I'm going to use the dimension tool. So you may need to look carefully, and when you do it carefully. So I'm going to then find the center of my circle, which is there. We have the white square, so I'm going to left click on my white square, and I'm going to left click on that edge that I've sort of hovered over, and drag a dimension away, and I need to change that to 20. So I'm going to type in 20, and if you notice, it's just moved it across, so that's exactly 20 millimeters from that front edge. I now need to position that from the bottom edge as well. So I'm going to click dimension, hover over the middle, white square. It's now turned blue because I've selected it, and I'm going to go to this bottom edge here. That edge there has gone white, and I'm going to go and change that to 35, so 3 and 5, and that should move it up a little bit for me. And I'm going to click Finish Sketch. So it's drawn that circle on that face, and all we need to do now is, previously we've used the Extrude tool to add material. We're now going to use the Extrude tool to remove material. So I'm going to Extrude, and I'm going to just select that sketch on there, and notice it's there. Now this is where it's initially trying to encourage me to add material. I don't want to add. So if I just left click on that arrow, I can reverse the direction of the arrow. So instead of it adding material, it will remove. Now that distance at the moment is 59 millimeters. So all I'm going to do is change that to 10, and that will give me a hole. It was a blind hole rather than a through hole, so it's going to stop, and that is my part. So all we need to do is save that part as, so a file, save as, and I'm going to go and call this one here my side, and save. Thank you very much, and you'll notice that's now saved that as a side. Not quite the right way round, but I'm not too fussed about that, because when we create our assembly drawing, we can always modify that there. But we can also, if you do notice here, we've got the viewing panes where I'm going to set my home view there, but we can view things front, bottom, side, but I'm happy with that. So I look forward to welcoming you back to do the next part. Thank you very much.